Thank you very much. Is it Bayanlar, Baylar, ladies and gentlemen? Well, we have to make a... We're here in Istanbul. It's my favourite European city, favourite city of the world, actually. I've been here many times. So it's a pleasure to be here, and thanks to the organising committee for giving me the opportunity to talk a little about my story, about my work, what I think about what might inspire some of you in terms of innovation and technology. So I'm a surgeon, I'm a cancer specialist, but also, that's my day job, but also I spend time in technology, thinking about how we're going to change clinical practice, how we're going to educate our students, not just local level, on a global level. And you'll hear some stories about what I've been using over the last few years. The first thing to understand is that this is the most exciting time to be in medicine. I've been in medicine for 23 years. I know, I don't look old enough, but I am. And it's a question of how we are going to change the face of clinical practice. Carl Schwab, who's the chairman of the World Economic Forum that you might have heard of, made this whole statement around the fourth industrial revolution. And what he describes is this sort of fusion of technologies that blur the lines between the digital, physical, and the biological spheres. What he implies is that at the moment, we're going through this whole transition of lots of technologies coming together. And that's why it's so exciting. Things like blockchain, artificial intelligence, robotics, biosensors, pharmacogenomics, arrays, wearables, and virtual reality and augmented reality. All of these things coming together at the same time. We've never been in a position where so much technology is available to us to change the way we practice medicine and teach our students and our trainees. It's exciting, no question. If we sort of go back a fraction, and let's go back historically about the doctor-patient relationship. When I qualified, every doctor gives out the Hippocratic Oath. We make a pledge to our patients. We say to them, we'll look after you professionally, ethically, morally, we'll do the right thing for you. But it doesn't say how we should do that. It doesn't mention the word technology, for example. So actually, maybe we can change the paradigm of that doctor-patient relationship and change the way we teach in the future. If you look closely at the picture on your left-hand side, you'll see the closeness. It's the touch. It's the feel. Things that we accept as being normal in a doctor-patient relationship. But actually, that's changing. It's changing the world that we live in because we are changing as human beings. One thing about healthcare and other professions, whether it's pharma or marketing, whatever, we get stuck. We get stuck in tradition. We get stuck with dogma. And I always tell my doctors around me, challenge everything every day. Don't accept what you're doing on a particular day. What can you change to make it better? Because if you accept the dogma and tradition, by definition, you're accepting mediocrity because you're becoming irrelevant already. So think about the future every day, how you can change parts of what you do. It all can be improved. So this is obviously the Hippocratic Oath. This is what the pledge that we made a long time ago in terms of the, sorry, this is going forward. So go backwards here? Okay. So you've talked about the sort of the future from even 30, 40 years ago when radio came in, talk about radio wireless. Now we have internet, we have TV, we have HD, we have VR. Actually, the future is going to be about how we teach people in this way. It's also being connected. One thing that I talk about on a global level is being connected to other human beings. And now we're living in a world that's much smaller because of connectivity. So for example, the major companies like Google are now putting sort of balloons into the cloud. And those balloons stay in the air for about 30 to 90 days. They slip out the system, another one comes in its place, supplying the world with Wi-Fi connectivity. So it's providing a solution about connecting people in the lower and middle-income countries and places that we need to connect to. Facebook, with the project Aquila, this is a drone that flies at 70,000 feet with solar panels, with a wingspan of a 737. This is flying around. The first test was done a while ago. Here we go. So and now that plane is ready now, again, to provide Wi-Fi access at high speed. We have an insatiable appetite for connectivity. You're sitting there with the mobile phones connected to Facebook, connected to Instagram, constantly thinking about how do we connect. We are changing the way that paradigm works. I put this picture up last year. This is Project Maria, a sort of a project by Facebook and Microsoft. This is putting cable from North America, under the Atlantic, to Portugal. And another one from North America to Australia. Because we want even more bandwidth for VR, for AR, for connectivity. And actually, Only about 2 or 3 days ago, that cable has finally been placed. 4,000 miles across the Atlantic. Yes, that's the size of the cable. So already, we're getting to the stage where we can do much more with this whole paradigm. My own hospital is part of the NHS National Health Service in the UK. We've got commitment now to our hospitals and primary care groups and healthcare generally. And we're going to now connect people. We want Wi-Fi on every hospital. Every patient walking is connected, because that has huge implications on the electronic patient record, managing your own record system, and being in control. Okay. Now let's get back to what I would start talking a little bit about. It's about education. So I'm an associate dean in medical school. I've been teaching for 23 years, medical students, trainees. And we've been teaching people in a variety of ways. All of us in this room share the same ambition, to share knowledge on a global scale. We all accept that education is a fundamental human right. Of course it is. It should be for everybody, freely accessible. The point is, it's fallible. It's not true, because education itself depends on 2 things. It depends on resource, income, finance, and geography. If you're in one part of the world, you can't access information as another part of the world. But that's changing. And I'll tell you why it's changing. About 2 years ago, our Lancet Commission produced its report. We've been assessed with lots of illnesses and diseases in the past. For example, HIV, TB, malaria, and we do a lot of work around the inequalities of healthcare and how do we eradicate such illnesses. Actually, surgery, my own profession, it's the least supported. 5 billion people today do not have access to safe and affordable surgery. These are things that you take for granted. You go to hospital with emergencies. But 2/3 of the population do not have access to that. To create equality today, we need to train 2.2 million extra surgeons. Big ask. We need to perform about 150 million operations per year to make healthcare more equitable. That's the challenge. The question for us is, how do we provide solutions to train this workforce and to give healthcare around the world and make it equitable? Oops, go back. Yes, this is the inequalities. If you look at the red dots, the red pictures, the red parts of the map, that's the parts that are poorly served. It's no surprising. Lots of Africa and Asia are poorly served by healthcare. If we look at augmented virtual reality, which is what I'm going to talk about a little bit about now, augmented reality is where you put overlay on a smartphone or a device so you can look and actually make the view better with information. Virtual reality with a headset being immersed. Now, it's big. It's going to be worth a huge amount of money. All the major companies have just released their headsets. They're creating smartphones that are going to be useful in AR and VR. So it's huge business. It's going to happen in the next 2 to 5 years and become commonplace in every part of the world. So 2 years ago, I was one of the Google Glass explorers. The Google Glass came out. Some of you may have seen it. It's a wearable technology on your head, which is like a mobile phone. And with that, you can take pictures, talk. It's like a phone, take videos. And actually, it was really clever, but way beyond its time. The public weren't ready for wearable tech on their head. It had huge issues around ethics and confidentiality. I got a Google Glass. We calibrated it. We put some software on. And I thought, how do I teach my students better? In the OR, operating theatre, we teach people on a small scale. They're around you. It's crowded. People can't really see what's going on. Only the surgeon and the assistant can really see what's going on. People around the back of the room are learning by a process that I call passive learning. It's osmosis, it's diffusion. It's not really learning. And our students spend a lot of money on this education, and it's not good quality. We need to do better. How do we make them better? So I did this live operation back in 2014 using Google Glass. We streamed live. People around the world could watch it on their mobile phone with my view of the operation. They could text a message, which would come on the glass immediately. I could answer it as I was working. It was the first demonstration of wearable tech. And actually, I trained 14,000 people on a single day around the globe. Okay? These are students, trainees, surgeons across all parts of the world. Look at that picture in more detail. 5,000 Australians were logging in to my operations because they felt connected. Interesting, it's not just about Africa and Asia and low-middle countries, which I think is condescending. It's about the whole the world being connected. And again, if you look at the graph from before, it's providing a solution to the red areas that we need to somehow satisfy. We create a whole platform with wearable tech, way beyond anything else people have done. These surgeons and assistants are wearing Google Glass, live streaming, talking to their students around the globe. The right-hand column is a chat box, peer-to-peer learning around the globe, so people can teach one another and share their knowledge. So I'm saying to you, it's about sharing knowledge. All of you have knowledge, and all you want to leave a legacy of that knowledge. Now, you may teach one person or two persons. At the end of the day, why not share that knowledge with 1,000 people or 100,000 people? Isn't that the legacy that we want to leave behind? We can't leave money. We can't leave anything else. It's about your knowledge that you've acquired over many years. It's scaling up education, making it much more fairer. Some of you may know who this is. This is John Sculley. John Sculley was a CEO of Apple. Apple Computers. He's the guy who made Apple really big with Steve Jobs, and he's the guy who sacked Steve Jobs in the film that you've all probably seen, right? So I taught this man, 70-year-old man, ex-CEO of Apple, how to do a simple operation using wearable technology in a transatlantic fashion. He learned at the age of 70 to do a simple procedure within 20 minutes. So if I can teach John Sculley, CEO of Apple, I'm sure we teach most people the same sort of disciplines. We're moving on with augmented reality. Lots of platforms are coming out to share knowledge, to train people. For example, things like this, which is a iPad device, and others like that, for example. Lots of things you can now communicate very quickly and rapidly with in that environment. I'm working with a company called AMA, who are using wearable tech to create learning in the hospital environment. This is how I teach my trainees now. Hope the video will play. Anthony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. So, have you ligated the vessel?
Yeah, I've taken the vessel.
What's next? Red circle, big no-no. There we are. Okay. So I could be anywhere in the world teaching, not just in the operating theatre. Next thing I'll talk about is social media. And sadly, I have a confession to make. I have an addiction to social media, like I'm sure a lot of people in this room do, because you're all on your phones as I speak. Facebook Live, whatever it is you're doing at the moment, all right? But let's think about social media in a different way. Social media is really powerful. It's designed to connect people. Facebook has 3 billion, so 2 billion users on a daily basis. 2 billion. That's a third of the population of the world. Instagram has 300 million users. Twitter has about 175, 200. Similarly, Snapchat, for the young people, okay, it has about 175 million users already. It's powerful. So my question is, how do we use social media in a different way? Can we teach using social media? And I've experimented over the last 18 months with this format. Hope this moves. Ah, here we go. It's a bit slow from here to there. So this is me doing a live operation on Facebook Live. We go back one, okay? So I'm going to go back one. The video's a bit slow. Can we go back one slide? Okay, I'll forward it. I think the videos are a bit slow here, so we'll just forward one slide. Thank you. Okay, that video's not played. Doesn't matter. So literally, I was in Bangladesh only back last year. And interestingly, if you look at the demographics of Facebook, Bangladesh has the quickest user rate to 1 million in the world. India has overtaken America in terms of users of Facebook. 500 million users use Facebook on a monthly basis. So I did an operation, one click of Facebook Live, 10,000 surgeons were engaged, literally, on a social media platform that's free, that's cheap, that's reliable. Interesting? There we go. Thank you, that's the video that should have played earlier. That's me on Facebook Live back a year ago. What about Snapchat? Who uses Snapchat in the audience? Anybody? A few people. It's for young people, right? So actually, I've learned In fact, 75% of the users of Snapchat are between the ages of 17 and 25. Now you may think, what am I doing at this age using something ridiculous as Snapchat? But actually, it's understanding your potential base, your clients. In my case, my students. Because that's how they learn. They use it on a daily basis. So I thought, can I train people using Snapchat? Really interesting design. So the spectacles came out last year, November, and I used them to stream an operation in 10-second clips. Because Snapchat allows you to take 10-second clips. So I thought, can I train people in short segments? So we did the world's first live operation using Snapchat. I went to the hospital. We were doing an inguinal hernia repair in about half an hour or so, using the spectacles and live onto my story. So this is the anatomy: anterior superior spine, symphysis pubis, pubic tubercle, and the inguinal canal. Incredible, it went viral. I won't show you the whole clip because it's a bit gory and some of you may faint on me, which I wouldn't want. But actually, the impact was incredible. The editor of Time magazine came in the early hours on Sunday and said, I want the story because I think this is interesting, having social media to impact people. So my work has made it to many news stations around the world and various newspapers, but the thing I'm most proud about is the next article. Cosmopolitan. Can you believe it? My operation made it into Cosmopolitan magazine, a fashion magazine, which is really disruptive. In that, if you go into the website, you'll see an operation being shown. How crazy is that? Also, now, my children don't think I was particularly cool before. Now they think I'm a really cool dad. I'll tell you why. Because I'm on the Facebook page of Ashton Kutcher, okay? Hollywood A-lister. And they think I'm really cool now around the globe. Not only that, of course, that operation, just by a simple Snapchat spectacle, got 2 million views across the globe. 100,000 downloads of YouTube within 24 hours, okay? And every time I operate now, I have 5,000 Snapchat students around the globe who are engaged with my work. These are the kind of comments you make. As you're doing them, they're commenting because you're connecting people and teaching people in a different way, which I think is quite disruptive. The other day, I was doing an operation in Snapchat. I asked my audience, where are you watching it from? Who are you? Tell me, I want to know more about you. Lots of things came back from all over the world, including Turkey, of course. And one of them turned back and said, I'm Ella, and I'm watching it from the Marianas Islands. I said, where's that? So I Google mapped it, and they're just Pacific Ocean, it's all blue. I kept zooming and kept zooming, kept zooming. Finally, small island, 12,500 people near the Marianas Trench, the deepest part of the ocean. So you're watching it from there, being trained. Isn't that amazing? How it can impact people's lives where you never think you're going to reach. We did some analytics on that operation. We looked at Twitter and how it was interestingly sort of commenting, either with retweets, favorited, or tweeting itself. We found in 1 month, guess how many people were involved in that operation? You will show in a minute. 56 million people were engaged. Incredible impact. So when you talk about marketing, talk about advertising, these kind of things you have to understand because it has huge impact and huge interesting ideas about how we do things in the future. What about Twitter? So about 3 or 4 months ago, I was allowed to tweet from the NHS account. I was the NHS curator of the whole health service for 1 week, Monday morning to Friday evening. I tweeted about my life, what I was doing. And I thought, can I teach people using tweets in 140 characters or less? So here's my moment. that really taught me a lot. It was about engaging people. It wasn't about the operation of teaching people. It was engaging the public, being transparent, being open, saying, look, this is who we are. We're just a part of a team. We work in a big team, and showing the public surgery wasn't just about the operation, it's about the safety mechanisms, about everybody working to create the healthcare. So we had about 1 million people engaged on that Twitter sort of moment. What about virtual reality? I do a lot of work globally. That's me in Gaza earlier this year. I do a lot of philanthropic work and raising whole standards of countries and putting in place ways of training people in a different way. But it's interesting. AR and VR will impact people, whether it's refugees, whether it's people in war-torn zones like Gaza, for example. So how do we use VR in a different way? VR already has been shown to be useful in clinical trials. In patients who have, for example, anxieties, phobias, it's shown to be impactful. It's also shown to, so people in the American military who come back from military zones actually go through a VR program to reduce the burden of post-traumatic stress disorders. Similarly, people who have operations now, and after recovery, will require less painkillers using VR technology. Already, clinical sort of improvements being made using VR. And also for eyesight around the world, people with low eyesight around the globe, AR is having a big impact with VR technology to make sure they can improve their eyesight. So huge implications of this technology on a global level. Last year, I did something crazy. I invited the world to OR using virtual reality as technology, a camera rig that would record an operation and people could just switch in. So we persuaded my hospital to buy everybody a headset, Google Cardboard. Can we engage people with this kind of technology? And actually what we did a live operation, streamed through the world, first one in VR ever recorded, and we found out, for example, that people in 147 countries watched the operation. There was 5 million tweets during the operation, and it was watched by 55,000 people on the same day. Incredible impact around the globe, all right? And it had 100,000 downloads on YouTube.
This 360 camera rig allows immersion. People around the world using a low-cost technology, a simple VR headset, can actually immerse themselves in operating theatre around the world.
So again, it made a huge impact around the globe, and we learned a lot from these kind of use of technology. Okay, so I've got a whole team around called Medical Realities with a bunch of coders, developers, app designers, UX, UI, and also people with film production quality, because we think 360 videos and sort of VR is in the future for a lot of us in education and training. It's a bit slow, isn't it? There we go. So now we're creating a whole level of haptic feedback. So what we're seeing now, as you see in these videos here, it's going to be wait a few seconds. In the virtual space, we can see things. We can create CGI animation. What about adding haptic feedback, the feel, the touch, the things that we wanted at the beginning of the doctor-patient relationship so that it makes it more sensible?
And where was the basket?
And I love the button. Yeah, that is.
This is a whole platform. In VR, you can download it and have a go. This is the first VR platform for learning in the world, created with validation, with a way of learning, because AR and VR are just continuums. We've gone from books to online platforms. AR, VR are just extensions of that whole program. And we're going to create learning and content that's valuable in that environment. And you can play around with this when you get a chance on our platform. Feel free to download and play around with it. It's very intuitive. The gallbladder is situated. This is the future that's going to happen to every student. These kind of technologies are coming in. The way we've learned is changing. It's be AR, VR, immersive education, devices, handheld, head displays, wearable technology. It's the future, and it's going to happen very rapidly. It's all very exciting. What about the way we communicate? Oops. What about, so if we go back, oops, sorry, we'll go back one. Just go back one there. Thank you. Okay. So we communicate FaceTime messaging systems. What about communicating through virtual time? That's the way we're going to communicate in the future and connect to our patients. This is about holoportation. Can you transport yourself to another part of the globe? So this is me in the hospital now. I don't turn up. I am on this computer. I do my ward rounds and clinics, walking around the hospital. Because I need to be there, but I can be remote. So I can do it from Istanbul, wherever I want, and see patients. Why not? Let's challenge the tradition of way of practicing healthcare.
Here, go for it. Introductions. Simon Surgeon, who's next?
This is my patient. I'm not there anymore. I'm just on the screen.
Thanks. I'm okay, thanks. How are you?
I'm okay. How have you been since we last?
Yeah, there's been some progress. Getting stronger, putting on weight.
Are you happy with that? Would you be happy to connect with somebody who's not there? Think about it. Think about how we disrupt the way we teach, or the way we talk to people. Of course, we talk about the whole issue around telepresence. This is me being recorded with 104 cameras, okay, creating my avatar. What about if it's just not me, if it's my avatar that's being transported across the globe? Adding facial expression, animation, artificial intelligence, so it talks like me, it looks like a human being, but actually it's something we created that can teach people on a global scale. And you'll love the next video, hopefully it will play properly. That's me, my avatar. I was the first virtual surgeon, that's what they call me, because I've become a virtual avatar, if you like, right? Play the next video. Okay, I'll just try to play that for you, if it plays. So I'm in the OR in London, and I'm going to connect and communicate with colleagues around the globe on Thrive in this virtual space. So Ian's right in front of me here. Ian, whereabouts are you?
Hey, Shafi, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, downtown right now.
Hey, and Harrison over here. Whereabouts are you?
Hi, Shafi. This is Harrison. I'm in San Francisco right now, in the U.S.
Wow. And what we've got here, we've got some shared assets so we can discuss patients.
As well as this backbone of, for all three of us are in different cities right now. Harrison and I are in America, and Shafi, you're there in London, I believe.
Yeah.
But we're all here together face to face in an OR, and we're able to share that 3D content, whether it might be an MRI scan or existing anatomical models, and we might be three doctors coming together, able to put our heads together face to face, no matter where we are in the world, communicate and collaborate and really problem solve around that particular patient and their.
Oops. Are we good? Okay, we've finished. Last one was just about saying, sorry, I'm happy. It's just about, last slide is around this. It's about connecting people. So all the things you've got to think about from my talk is when you go around sharing knowledge, is that to help 1 billion people, interconnect 1 billion minds. Thank you very much.